Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Talk back another video today. And today we're going to be talking about the Cleveland Cavaliers potentially trading for Cameron Johnson of the Brooklyn Nets. It's been reported before that the Cavs have interest in trading for Cameron Johnson before. But after the Cavaliers' worst loss of the season last night to the Oklahoma City Thunder, it's been reported this morning that, reported by The Athletic and Bleacher Report, that the Cavs have interest in trading for Cameron Johnson. Although we kind of already knew that. And also yesterday, before that game happened against the Thunder, the report we heard was the Cavs were reluctant to make trades, not wanting to mess anything that they have going on. They don't want to mess that up. And so maybe the loss made them more interested in making trades. Although I don't know about one loss making that kind of an impact. But you know what? When you lose like that to a team, hey, there's a good chance if we come out of the East, this is the team we're going to be facing. Maybe you need to make changes, right? And defensively was a big problem last night for this Cavaliers team. I'm not going to say there wasn't offensive issues, but I think defensively was a bigger issue than offense last night for this Cavaliers team, if you ask me. I mean, offense was sure, and it was an issue for the Cavs, right? But their defense was a way bigger issue. And Cameron Johnson's a good defender. That would potentially help. Now, let's talk about a trade that would get Cameron Johnson to get into Cleveland. It's hard because Cameron Johnson has about $22 million contract. The Cavs have to give about like $18-19 million in player value to match it, make the trade work. And so there's a lot of players I think on this Cavs roster that you wouldn't want to trade, right? Obviously Mitchell, Garland, Mobley, Allen, they're not available, right? You think a guy like Ty Jerome, who only has like a $5 million contract, he's been in a great role off the bench. He's not available. Max Strus is one of their best shooters. He's probably not available. Dean Wade is in the starting lineup right now. He's probably not available. Georgie Niang has been a great part off the bench for this Cavs team. I would doubt he's available. So, I mean, that leaves the list kind of short if you get where I'm going. And I think that leaves where there's only like two players, who have solid contracts and nice, solid value that could be involved in a trade to land Cameron Johnson. And those are the only two players I would list that could potentially be involved is, Isaac Okoro or Karis LeVert. So, those are really the only two players. And I think that maybe it'd be smarter to let go of Karis LeVert. Like, who knows what kind of role Karis LeVert would have on this team? I mean, like how much he'd be needed with Cameron Johnson coming in. And he's kind of had a little bit of a down year this year. Like last year, he was a big part of this bench, averaged 14 points per game. He averaged 5 assists per game, 1 steal per game, half a block per game. And he averaged 4 rebounds per game. This year, he's averaging 11, 4, and 3. So it's not like he's playing bad, but his numbers are down. But also another thing is his 3-point percentage is up 43%. So that is a key thing. But also another thing, which I think maybe makes the Cavs want to potentially let go of Karis LeVert, is Karis LeVert is heading into free agency this year. Cameron Johnson's a guy who has a total of 3 years left on his deal. You can replace, an expiring contract, or you can get rid of an expiring contract in Karis LeVert and replace him with a guy in Cameron Johnson who's better than him, and you can get a guy who's not only better than Karis LeVert, but also has more time left in his contract. So that is something you'd have to think about, I think. But that definitely would be interesting, though. But let's go over the trade that I think you have to make, or the deal that has to be done in order to potentially get Cameron Johnson on this team. We're going to get into that. So, like I mentioned Karis LeVert. Now, we're gonna get into that. Karis LeVert, I think, is probably the headliner player-wise of this deal with Cleveland and Brooklyn. And with him, I have Jalen Tyson, who's Cleveland's first round pick this year. And yeah, he's a really solid player, but he just hasn't played that much because Cleveland has so much depth. He could be something for the Nets, and the Nets could have interest in that. And then with draft picks, I think that's where it gets weird. Like, we've heard Brooklyn wants draft picks. They want to improve with their draft pick situation. And that's where it's weird for Cleveland, because Cleveland only has 2 first-round picks. And their 2 first-round picks are way deep. I mean, like, their first-round picks, 2030 and 2031. Do you want to trade, if you're Cleveland, for Cameron Johnson? I know Cameron Johnson's a great player, but do you want to trade a draft pick, 2030 or 2031? Like, if they traded the 2030 first-round pick, the only player that the Cavaliers have under contract in 2030, that season, is Evan Mobley. No one else. You have no idea what the roster will look like then. So I think there would have to be some, if you do trade that first round pick in 2030, which is the closest first round pick Cleveland has, there has to be some heavy protections, like top 3, top 4, top 5 protected, something like that. Like, you have to put some heavy protections on that, because you have no idea what the Cleveland. I think in 6 years, Donovan Mitchell will probably be in the NBA still, right? But you have no idea if he'll still be in Cleveland. His contract will be up by then. Same thing with Garland, Jared Allen, everybody on this Cleveland roster besides Evan Mobley. And then the 2031 first-round pick, Mobley's contract will be up after that. So if you trade a first-round pick, there has to be some heavy protections. So that's why I was thinking maybe Cleveland just offers a buttload of second-round picks. And is Brooklyn okay with that? Because I just really think that, sometimes for a team, 3, 4, 5 second round picks is equivalent to a first rounder. So that's why I was thinking it'd be Karis LeVert, Jalen Tyson, 4 second round picks, which two in 2025, one belongs to Cleveland, one belongs to Milwaukee, 2027 that belongs to Denver, and Cleveland's 2029. So my thought was Cam Johnson to Cleveland, Karis LeVert and Jalen Tyson to Brooklyn, and 4 second round picks to Brooklyn. Now, let's go over what Cameron Johnson's done this year. He's been excellent. We're going to get into him. Obviously, he's had a bigger role since Bridges left or got traded. He's played 33 games this year, 33 starts. He's averaging 33 minutes per game. He's shooting a career-high 50% from the floor. He's shooting also a career-high 43% from 3. He's averaging a career-high 20 points per game, averaging 4 rebounds per game. He's also averaging a career-high 3 assists per game, averaging nearly 1 steal per game, and half a block per game. So he's a great player and has a lot of time left on his contract. So it's definitely interesting. And if you're wondering, if you're thinking, if you're Cavs fans or if you're an NBA fan, you don't want Karis LeVert to get moved, you're thinking, no, I don't want the Cavs to trade Karis LeVert. It's not. I mean, like, you think about a deal where maybe a Coro and Sam Merrill, which would be a solid thought for Cameron Johnson with picks going to Brooklyn. That wouldn't work because Cleveland would also have to cut an additional $10.1 million after that. So if you're Cleveland in a trade to get Cameron Johnson, that means you have to trade one of Max Strus or Karis LeVert. And if you're going to choose between Max Strus and Karis LeVert, I think it has to be Karis LeVert that goes out the door. Karis LeVert is an expiring contract. Max Strus has 3 years left on his deal and plays a big role with his team defensively and three-point shooting, and is just great for this Cavaliers team. I'm not saying Karis LeVert isn't, but Max Strus, I think Cameron Johnson could easily replace Karis LeVert. And I'm not saying he can't replace Max Strus, but it just seems smarter to trade Karis LeVert than Max Strus, with knowing that Max Strus has a lot left on his deal and Karis LeVert has only 1 year left on his deal. But one of those guys has to go in order to make this deal work. I mean, there's other ways to go around it, but those other ways are having to get rid of a guy or guys like Niang or Wade, who have been, key parts of this Cavaliers season this year. So let me know your thoughts on the Cavaliers potentially trading for Cameron Johnson in the comment section, and peace out.